would actually go to take the shot, so your finger's on the trigger and you'd pull the release, was there...
Right before I pull the trigger, I'm looking exactly where I want to shoot, what I want to hit. I might close my eyes for a second and open it just to see if my sights are still on target. That's determining your natural point of aim. And if not, that means something's off with your body position. I'm still breathing at that point. My eyes are still locked onto the target. I'm not gonna be surprised and, oh, blink or nothing like that. Eye stays glued onto the target, onto the scope, and
What's up, guys? If you haven't already, please smash that subscribe button and hit that like button on the video. And if you don't have time to watch this episode right now, I'd really appreciate it if you saved it to your watch later playlist on YouTube. Finally, if you'd like to follow me on Instagram or X, those links are in my description below.
We got Nick the Reaper Irving finally in here. It is great to see you, sir. Thank you for being here all the way from Texas.
all good, man. Thank you for having me.
Well,
yeah.
It's our pleasure for sure. I know Alessi and I were both really excited about this. You have been doing, I think I first saw you with the Business Insider thing. Does that sound right? Where you were like, what a real sniper says about movies.
Yeah.
Something like that.
That's where I pretty much got started. Yeah.
Yeah, that was what,
2, 3,
4 years ago, something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I had seen that. And then you were going on Vlad, obviously doing some content there in the last couple of years. I'm like, I can't figure out why Sean Ryan hasn't had this guy in. And then Sean Ryan had you in right away.
Oh, yeah. We have been planning that for a couple of months, yeah.
Yeah, that was, Alessi said that was incredible. I haven't listened yet. I'm going to listen tomorrow after we're done this one.
Go for it.
Didn't want to be biased by it, but I was excited that you wanted to come in because, your book was a New York Times bestseller and you're like one of the modern day sniper legends of the military, and obviously great at telling a story. So we'll get into all of it today.
I appreciate it, man.
So you grew up in a military family, right?
Oh yeah, mom and dad were both in the Army. Born overseas in a place called Augsburg, Germany. Stayed there until 1980. I want to say 1989 when I moved. Went to Florida, from Florida to Maryland, and eventually settled down in Texas with the wife, where she's from. So,
but you grew up. You were in Maryland all throughout growing up until going into the Army.
Oh yeah, up until 2004. Yeah.
And did your parents, because they were both in the military, were they both at a young age trying to instill the military thing in you? Oh, that might be the path you go.
I think that was the only path that they knew I was going to take. I wasn't the brightest, the brightest kid, man. But it was for them. I saw some stuff their uniforms that they would wear, and I thought that was neat. My dad introduced me to movies with Charlie Sheen and Chuck Norris, Delta Force, and Charlie Sheen's Navy SEALs. But it wasn't a thing that, and they were both intel, so it was not a infantry background. None of them went to combat or anything like that. They fought the Cold War, copying Morse code and deciphering Morse code and intercepting signals and decrypting radio stuff. I don't know. That's what they did.
That's pretty cool, though. That's different than what you did, but that's some cool shit. Cold War?
Yeah. My dad has some pretty cool award that was given to him by the president at the time. He intercepted some Russian code, and it was a game changer for something.
Wow.
He never talked about it, but he has a pretty cool story behind it, I guess.
He never talked about it with you?
No. They don't. They're very secretive people. My mom and dad are, my entire childhood was just shrouded in secrecy. I know he got out and he worked for the NSA for, the most of his, up until he retired, he worked for the NSA. His whole life has just been secretive. I don't know much about what they did in it.
You gotta get your dad in here.
I know, right? Good luck.
Lock the doors. Let's find out.
Yeah, man.
So they're on an entirely different side, but you as a kid were really into the action. It seems like, and you started shooting when you were young, whatever you could get your hands on, right?
Yeah, I was dude. I want to say I wasn't even a teenager yet when I first shot my first shotgun, 20 gauge shotgun, and I was hooked after that. But I was gifted a shotgun by my dad. This is back when you could do it. gift a 16-year-old kid a gun. Um,
Today he'd be
Yeah.
in prison.
so now it was like that back then, and I had the shotgun in my room, kept my shotgun, and it was just I've always wanted like being around weapons and shooting them. I couldn't shoot them in Maryland, but I had a BB gun that I would shoot like indoors in my house, and
Oh, indoors. That's
yeah,
nice.
putting holes in the walls and patching them up with my sister's Play-Doh and shooting out street lights. What all kids do.
Yeah.
You
What
know?
could possibly go wrong?
Yeah. No broken windows.
Did you go hunting at all?
I did growing up, like off and on. We hunted squirrels and rabbits with my granddad, but it wasn't like I guess what you would say hunting, like deer hunting or anything like that. I would shoot birds out my window, and like in my backyard and stuff. But I was never like into hunting. I like fishing more than I do hunting. I grew up fishing way more than I did hunting.
Why'd you like fishing more?
I think it's more relaxing, man. It's a little bit more relaxing. Like hunting, I don't know. I think just fishing is way more relaxing, and the return is almost immediate. As far as like what you can eat, I don't know how to skin a deer. I'm pretty sure I know how to skin a deer. I've seen it done, but a fish, it can be from from seed to plate in no time. I'm not sure if it's like that for hunting deer. I've never hunted a four-legged animal ever.
Never.
No,
Even today.
never. I don't think I want to.
Why?
Dude, to be honest, it's like this is gonna sound really like, I don't know, hippie-ish, I guess. I don't know. I'm just not into killing anymore.
Yeah.
I just don't really care for killing anymore. Like I will if I have to, like if the family, but I'm a vegetarian. So I know we all have to say it, but no.
This is a safe space.
No, we're good. It's I haven't eaten meat since my son was born in 2016.
Was there a conscious decision?
Yeah.
Like a reason for that?
Yeah. Just became a Rastafari and started following along those paths.
No
those lines.
kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
All good.
That's a while down the line.
Yeah.
But no, it's interesting because you had a line in your book that really stuck out with me, which I'll fuck up when I try to paraphrase this right, but it
Go
was
for
something like, once you've killed a man, nothing else can really replace that feeling.
Yeah. You're good. Yeah. I agree with that to this day. It's like I remember what it was like to kill people, but like what I think a lot of people don't know or I talk about it a lot is the after effects of it, of that roller coaster of a wave you would ride or I would ride after a while engaging someone. It's like being on like a roller coaster or something like that. You go from this, or probably what it's like shooting a deer. You get this huge rush, just a dump of adrenaline, and pull the trigger, body drops. Like a few seconds after that, it's like, wow, I just killed someone. You go down the roller coaster at that point. Then you hit this weird space. For me, I just hit like a weird space trying to comprehend. And it was, I was young too. It was 18 when I first killed someone, and then stopped killing people when I was 25. So it was a pretty
Your
good point.
first kill was at 18.
Yeah. I was the youngest guy in my class in basic and the youngest guy in my class for Ranger selection. So it was, 18 years old when I was in Iraq, to crit Iraq.
So you came right out of high school. I guess you were young, by just doing math here, you were young for your grade too.
Oh yeah.
Was it the kind of thing where you were still 17 and your parents had to sign you in?
I was 16 when I was 17. I was 16. I went through this baby SEAL. I was in the Navy Sea Cadet Corps in Annapolis, and I went through this Navy. I was going to take like a Navy SEAL pipeline. So you take a Navy SEAL physical fitness test. You do the 500-yard swim. I was scuba qualified, and dude, it was like on that path. But 16 is where I was dead set. 17, my parents had to sign the parental consent form. The recruiter came to the house, sat across the table. My mom's crying. my dad's like, he's gonna do it anyways. You know, once he turns 18, he's gonna do it. So she signed off on it, and
they're military parents, and your mom's.
But they knew what they knew I was
Yeah.
going to Ranger though, and it was like I'm guaranteed to go to war if I make it, you know. But I don't think that they thought that I was gonna actually make it though.
Why?
Dude, I was just not a wild kid. I got in trouble a lot, and I wasn't focused, I guess. So it was they thought something. I don't know. I don't think that they thought that I was actually gonna make it to become a Ranger. After my dreams of being a SEAL were crushed from being colorblind.
Yeah, what happened there? You didn't know you were colorblind your whole life? And
No.
how old were you when, and maybe you can actually explain like what this test was and where you were, but how old were you when you went to go take like the Navy SEAL like basic physical?
I was 16 at that point, 16. But there was no color vision test. It was just a Navy SEAL pipeline in the Sea Cadet Corps.
Right, so I'm talking about when you took the color vision
Oh,
test.
17.
And you were full blown, I'm going to be a Navy SEAL.
Yep.
All ready to roll. And then they're like, ooh, you can't see green.
Yeah, or red. Oof. Yeah, when they're side by side. Yeah. Red, green, colorblind. And I took the test twice. The first time I failed it, I came home and I studied. I went on old dial-up, the old dial-up AOL.com or whatever, internet, and looked up easy horror test. And I tried to study like every pattern there was for this color vision book that I failed. And click on, hey, what's the answer to this one? It would say 24. You're looking for numbers in this big bundle of blots of colors. And tried to remember all those patterns to the best of my ability, which I was pretty good at it. Spent a few weeks studying that, and I went back to take the test, and it was a light test. So it's like a row of lights, and they flash. I'm not too sure how it works, but I failed it. I couldn't see certain lights and colors of lights. So failed that one, cried, and this Army nurse, she came into, heard me crying. She came into the little room I was in and took me over to her room, whipped out an easy horror book, color vision test book, and started tracing her finger along the patterns. And I'm like, okay, this is easy. Got 14 out of 14, but the only stipulation was like, you have to join the Army now. And I was like, just give me the closest thing you have to being a SEAL. And he said, well, we have Rangers. Originally, it was a Green Beret, but it was weird as a kid. I had this book of all the U.S. Special Forces, Special Operations guys, and I would always skip over the Green Beret portion. I just didn't think what they did was cool. It was just like, I don't want to.
We got to get Danny Hall in here with him.
I didn't want to speak a different language, and I thought they were more like teachers overseas. And I'm like, I don't want to be a teacher. I want to go and, do stuff. So I said, I'll take the Ranger route. Took the Ranger route, and knowing what I know now, like Green Berets, it would have been, I think, I'm going to say better for me. It's intriguing what they do, and I'm friends with a lot of Green Berets, but I liked being a Ranger too. It was a lot of good opportunities during the time I was in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, all the special forces, they all have their different
Yeah.
specialties, if you will, but it's all badass shit.
Yeah.
Like, I get
is.
these guys
It
in
is.
here, I'm like, damn, y'all were living a different life.
It is a different life, man. It is. Like coming back to the civilian world, and comparing it, you realize like, wow, I do some, pretty neat stuff, man.
Yeah. It's wild though, and you're far from the first guy that, either came right out of high school or like as a college kid right into special forces, but it's just wild to me that like, especially being 18 years old, you don't start off like, all right, let me start in the Army or start as like a Marine, which is also, a difficult job, but like you're going right into let's go into Hell's Kitchen now.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It takes a different breed. And at that time, like I was influenced by movies a lot, from Rambo to Delta Force. I was inspired by all that, Saving Private Ryan. I grew up with that, era. I'm not even sure if they still make war movies like that anymore. But I don't
think they do.
No, you'll never find. They need to make. I don't know. I think the war in Afghanistan will be a pretty neat one to see. especially up leading like to the 2008-9 era, 2010 up into like the withdrawal. I think would be pretty neat to document, but just a different breed, man. Like out of everybody who signed up or went to that class, I was the only one out of that class to graduate. And the class before me, like we had a basic training platoon designated for these guys are all going to go Green Berets and these guys want to go Rangers. None of the guys, well, one guy did make it to Green Beret and no one made it to Rangers during that time. And I was like, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to make this, man. But luckily, I did. I was just too stupid to quit, man. It takes a smart, dumb person to be in special ops, special forces. You got to be smart and dumb at the same time.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always ask like the Navy SEALs or the special ops guys that I have in here, like if they could point to a character trait that gets that is the dude that gets through, because they always talk about, you hear all the stories across all the different special forces of like the guy who shows up who's like the triathlete, 2% body fat, and they're like, oh, he's gonna win, and then he's like the first one out.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is every person I've had in here has given a different answer, and you just gave a new one again. Like you got to be smart dumb at the same time.
Exactly, man.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Too dumb to quit, smart enough to keep going. Smart enough to even want to pursue that job.
But you're a kid. You're
I know.
18.
Dude, when I look at pictures, like you bring it up and like the age, I look at pictures, I'm like, man, I was a baby-faced kid, man.
Yeah.
It's where I see 18-year-old kids now, and I'm like, man, I wasn't built like that. They don't, they really stopped making them how they used to, but it's different, man. It's different.
But that's, I always say this. I would have no concept of that because I was a idiot when I was 24, let alone 18. But you're like, I'm going to go into the military. Nope, I'm going to go into the special forces. I'm going to go through 6 months of this shit up in the hills where they're yelling at me, and I'm going to make my bed perfectly every day. Just like, man, I was like ripping, what was that, Calico Jack and smoking weed at that age.
Oh yeah. I'm going to say I was too, but I was pretty close. Maybe I was.
But you cleaned it up. Like you talk about like maybe being immature in certain ways in high school, but obviously like overnight,
you have
like,
to.
Ooh,
you have
not
to.
anymore.
Yeah, you signed the contract. We were just talking about it earlier. It's like you sign your life away for a portion of your life. 4 years, there's no getting out of it, unless something, I don't know, medical condition you had come up, or you died or got blown up. That's like the only way you're getting out of a contract. So you're stuck there. I think I don't know. I think I wanted the challenge of doing something like that. It was more so of wanting to prove my family that I could do it. Prove to my dad and my mom that, I might have failed in school, but I'm gonna make it through this thing. So it was a lot to do with that. Just being told or having I might have been telling myself that they, whether they wanted or whether they believed in me or not, maybe I made that up. So I did have something to, keep me going, but I also didn't want to come back home to, all the guys and the kids that I grew up with saying, hey, I'm going to go do this thing. And they're like, what are you doing back here? Or I turned out to be a cook or something like that. Nothing wrong with being a cook, but just wasn't what I talked about for all those years.
Yeah, you want to be a man of your word.
Yeah. Cooks are cool, though. But
did you have friends who wanted to join the military as well, or who did?
No, they all wanted to be drug dealers and drug dealers, man. And all my friends, the guys that I grew up with, have all been to prison, still in prison, are dead.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Most of the crew that I was hanging around with at that time. Yeah.
And you made it out.
Yeah.
So you never, it seems like that was never a thought, though, that like you're going to go down that road.
Yeah. Like it was intriguing for a little bit.
It was.
That's all I had was the Army. I told my wife about this, and like, if I didn't join the Army, have the military, like I would have been in prison, for doing stupid stuff. Yeah, probably would have killed somebody, more than likely, where I grew up at.
Why do you say that? You would have killed somebody?
I was a hothead, man. Like it was I was a hothead, yeah. And just the guys that I hung around. They've killed people, so it was just probably a matter of time before I was going to get the same opportunity, if you want to call it that. But my sister's friends, same situation. Like when I just left the army or to go to the army, we had this park behind my neighborhood, and there was this guy I used to hang out with, went to school with, and he was friends with my sister. But one day he just decided he said, hey, I want to catch a body. It was like a thing back then. So he went to the park, waited out in the park, and just waited for the next jogger to come by and shot him up. So it was like that. Yeah.
And that's someone you grow up with, you think you
Yeah.
know, and then
Oh, I always knew he was like that. Like everybody was like that back then. We're like not scared to do stuff like that, just to build up street cred.
yeah, but I'm like that's not like, oh, I killed like a rival dealer or something. That's
Yeah, this is just somebody.
just
Yeah.
blowing someone away.
Yeah, man. Yeah. It's weird. Happened a few times in that little park. So that was my option. Stay there, get in trouble, or join the military and see what happens.
So you go hard the other way, you join the
Yeah.
military, you go into training. And like we said, I think it was like 6 months, the
Yeah.
initial
Yeah.
training. So you're still 18, you make it through. Wasn't it like something like 12 guys made it or something like that out of 80? Did I make that up?
No, yeah, almost close. 6 from the original class. We had 7 total make it out of like 85 guys in the Ranger selection. So it's like a 14-week basic training boot camp in Georgia. Then you do a 3-week, I believe, airborne school. I think it's 3 weeks.
You hated that shit.
Oh, yeah. Scared of heights, man. Like, my dad was taking me up on ladders before it was time to join the Army, like 10-foot ladders just to try to get over this fear of heights thing.
So you wanted to be a sniper
Yeah.
that shoots from heights sometimes.
Yeah. A sniper that's scared of bugs, too. I don't like bugs.
I don't fuck with bugs either.
Yeah, so
But
we're
I'm not a sniper.
Yeah, different. You got to be smart and dumb, man, at the same time. 3 weeks of airborne, then it was basic airborne. Then I went to the selection, and at that time was about a month, a little over a month.
What was the hardest part of that?
All of it, man.
All of it.
It was Monday through Monday. Every day was the same, just a beat down of how much can your body take. It was just one big beat down. Every day was we would lose so many, a few guys every day, a few guys. The most I've ever seen drop out was like 20, 30 guys at one time. And that was just, we were cold. It was outside. We hadn't slept in like 3 days. So it was a big demoralizer. But I would feed off of guys that were quitting because it's like, dude, I'm still here.
Right.
You got to feed off of it. So I would always look for the next person to quit. And yeah, because I was always on the verge of quitting. Every day, man. Waking up, you're back. I was feeling like I was 80 years old, going through it. And I'm like, I don't know how guys continue to do this, man. And you run a lot, 6, 8, 12 miles a day. You're doing, push-ups till your arms fall off. It's just a big smoke fest, man. Big smoke fest for like a month.
Did you still come in there like, when you're 18, you're not filled out yet. So are you coming in there like pretty lanky and then suddenly like...
Dude, I was 98 pounds, bro, when I graduated high school. Yeah, dude. 98. And after basic, it was the first time I ever had 3 meals in a day. So basic training, I bumped up to 135. Then...
you weren't working with much.
No,
easy to get up there.
yeah. 2 glasses of water, man.
I can't believe
I'm
it.
good.
I bet the Army, like, you walk through the door after they recruited you, they're like, I can't. We got to see this shit.
Yeah, bro. 135 in basic after I graduated. Went to Ranger selection. I went to after Ranger selection or after airborne and then Ranger selection, I bumped up to 155. And I stayed and I still hover around like 155 to 170, depending.
What are you, like 5'10"?
I wish, bro.
All right.
I used to be before I had a bad accident, jumping out of a plane, collapsed no, bro.
And you should have gone with that. I was buying it.
No, man. 5'7", bro. 5'7".
All right, so 5'7", 155 though.
It's pushing some weight.
Yeah, you're a unit.
Yeah, it's up there a little bit.
I've seen some bouncers at that size. You don't want to fuck with those guys.
Feisty.
Yeah.
98 pounds graduating, and the lowest I've ever been in the Army was after Ranger School, and I think you may be thinking about Ranger School. That is a 62-day long course, but I spent 80 plus days in there because I failed the first portion of it. I had to recycle it. I failed. It's called Derby phase. So it's like the very first phase in Ranger School. You have Derby phase, then you have a mountain phase, and you have a Florida swamp phase. And I failed the first portion and then had to do it again and went all the way through after that. But I lost almost 40 pounds, 35, 40 pounds in
that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Came back and put it back on before that deployment in like a month. Yeah. But we were also during that time, we were on some stuff too to help out with that.
You were on some stuff.
Everybody was.
Like Toradol?
Like you name it. Yeah. Testosterone.
The good shit.
Yeah, the good stuff. Yeah.
The stuff that they don't let the baseball players use.
Yeah.
But it'd be very interesting if we did let them use.
Yeah.
Right.
Before, D-ball and all that stuff was banned or considered anabolic steroids. Yeah.
Right. Tested on the military.
Yeah. Yeah. It wasn't safe for 21-year-old kids to be, boosting up their testosterone to like 1,000,000%.
You're talking about like at 17 wondering if you're going to be a guy blowing people's heads off, and now they're just boosting your testosterone. They're like, yeah, we need our killers here in the Army.
Yeah. Literally, man. Oh, yeah. On some stuff, and like we lifted a lot. We had our own personal gym in Ranger Battalion. We had our own chefs. We had our own chow hall places to eat.
That's good.
And we ate really good, really good.
I forgot about this, though. I just had Rocco Vargas in here. I forget this with Rangers. You guys, you go through like the initial training school to become a Ranger, and then you do like a deployment, and then you do Ranger School.
Yeah.
And that's what you're talking about now. So it was after your first deployment, you're doing the...
This was after my second deployment. Yeah.
So you went on 2.
Yeah. I was trying to hold off as long as I possibly could to not go to Ranger School. But the thing is, if you don't go within like 2 years, then kick you out, man. Yeah. And I was about to get married at that time. I just rekindled this relationship I had with the elementary school girlfriend. And
how did this? You were telling me before she lived out of town at this point too. Like, how did you reconnect with someone that was your friend when you were like 6?
MySpace.
Oh my God,
yeah.
MySpace.
She hit me up on MySpace.
There's a throwback.
Yeah, throwback, man. She got in contact with me on MySpace, and the internet sucked that day when I checked my messages, and there's this girl named Jessica on there, but her profile picture or her picture did not load up. It was just a generic little female silhouette, and I thought it was a different Jessica that I didn't like. I was like, I don't want to talk to this girl. So I canked it and went back to my room. Then something told me, it was like, dude, go back and check on it. So the next day, or a few days after that, I went back and loaded up the message, and her picture popped up. And I just saw this Mexican hot ass girl, and I was like, oh, she changed up, She didn't look she didn't look like that back then.
She didn't look like that when she was 6.
Yeah.
Imagine. Did she put you in the top 8 at least? Like, was that a thing?
That became a thing after we started to date. And so, like the MySpace thing, the top 8, like
I remember this. I was like 11.
Really? Oh man, I'm old.
Sorry.
I'm crying now. But I didn't make it to the top 8 yet. She was still dating a guy, or like about to end the relationship with this guy. And after I saw her, I hit her back up. And I, like, hey, I remember you and whatever. I looked at the guy next to me. I'm like, dude, I'm going to marry this girl. He didn't believe me, and I just believed myself. So that's all that counted. I went back to the compound we stayed at, got a satellite phone, called her up from this weird 0001 number or whatever. Talked for like half an hour. She's like, where are you at? I tell her, I can't tell you, but I'm in the Army. I'll be back whenever. When I do come back, I would like to come see you. And that's pretty much what happened.
Wow.
And the first week after that deployment, I found a ticket to San Antonio and flew out to see her. And that was all she wrote, man. Well, not really, because it went on, for like, we dated for like 9 months on and off. She did not, I don't know what it was, but a lot of her parents had something to do with it. They were not into the whole like interracial, relationship thing. They didn't believe in that, but I was like, I'm not a bad guy,
Some tough Mexicans.
Yeah. And it was bad, bro.
Let's see. You're Cuban. I don't want to hear it.
It was bad, but luckily she came through. And after I proposed to her, before I left, where was I going? Dude, I believe it was Mosul, Iraq. I proposed to her before that deployment, and she said yes, then she said no. So I'm overseas on that deployment, like, thinking about that, not the job, and made me more angry.
She said yes, but then she said no.
Yeah, she said yes
it's after the most women thing I've ever heard.
It is,
in my
bro.
life.
It is. Right after, like, that next day, as I'm getting on the plane, she's like, I changed my mind. I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? So, yeah, it worked out. It worked out good, though. I kept trying. I knew it was going to happen. She was just scared, I guess, and had a lot of influence. But then she found out who I was, and she was like, oh, he's a badass, and hell yeah, I like that. So before she had no idea.
That's impressive. Like, it's impressive you could compartmentalize something that serious, though.
Yeah.
And I'm impressed with this with a lot of the military guys for different reasons, like balancing relationships, being overseas, and on and off in such a different world. But like to be getting on the plane and like you just proposed yesterday, you're in ecstasy. Now she's like, no, fuck that.
Yeah.
Or however you say that in Spanish.
Yeah.
And then, you got to get on a plane and be all business.
You get drunk before you go. Yeah. That's what I did, at least. That's what I did. And then by the time you're overseas, like, you only have so much time to think about it. And it's more so in your downtime. Like, on the mission, I didn't think about home at all. I didn't think about mom, dad, her, no one. It was just a mission. It was just when you got back and things settled down and, you start trying to, you get back up on MySpace and you see all the fun that everyone's doing. That sucks, yeah.
Yeah, the word, I think right before we were getting on camera, we were touching on like some of your sensory understanding. But the word that really came to mind when I was reading your battlefield stories, which were amazingly written, by the way.
Thank you.
Was like presence. You had massive presence in the moment.
Yeah.
Like, we'll get into your approach with shooting later, I'm sure, but like,
I wish I could do that more so now, man. Yeah,
you can't re-simulate something like that.
Yeah,
though,
you're right. Yeah.
It's like, can you be like that at Walmart versus like in the middle of a field where like 40 guys are like depending on you to still live?
Yeah. Living in the present time is the hardest thing to do, I think, for anybody. Until you go to war, then it's like you have no other choice than to live in the present. Otherwise, you die.
Well, that first time before you go to Ranger School, you said you had 2 deployments and they were both to Iraq.
Yeah.
So the first one's what, like 04?
05.
05?
05 was going into 06, yeah.
Okay, so the insurgency has popped off.
Yeah,
like, it's a mess.
Yeah.
But you thought you were like going to be going down into Vietnam, and you landed
all the books that I read growing up, which weren't many, but the ones that I did read were all like Vietnam based. The MARSOC guys are not the MARSOC. It's the SOG, the SOG guys in Vietnam. They were like my inspiration. They were the only guys who like had books about Vietnam. Then I read stuff about Carlos Hathcock and The Marine Sniper, and a few other books about Vietnam. So my, my perceptive or my perspective of what war was just, Vietnam. I was of course training with guys in Ranger Battalion, but it was I don't know. You don't really know what to expect until you get there, and all the training in the world is not gonna simulate combat. So, I didn't expect to be raiding schools and stuff like that in Iraq, but you would train in old rundown schools stateside to practice, room clearing and taking over compounds. And like the Ranger specialty primarily is to take over an airfield. So, you jump in, take over an airfield, secure it, and move on from there. Not one time did I ever have to, secure an airfield overseas. They were all, little houses here, complexes here. They were never, anything in that nature. So what I thought war was going to be was totally different. But yeah, we landed in Iraq, and like there were McDonald's or little fast food shops, coffee bean places, and stuff like that. It was
You're
totally
like, this ain't
different.
Saigon.
Yeah, far from it. Far from it. You didn't find out until you went outside the wire, and even then, it wasn't what I expected.
It's more urban warfare in Iraq, like pretty much across the country, no?
Yeah, all urban. I didn't do anything like Iraq and Afghanistan were almost night and day. Iraq was all urban, and at least you could see the enemy for the most part, unless they were using like IEDs or whatever. But Afghanistan, it was like fighting ghosts, though. It was rare you saw someone for the most part.
Yeah.
Rare.
A lot of tree lines, small tucked away villages, mountains.
Mountains, yeah. Wide open fields. And, dude, they've been fighting in that land since, forever. So it's
what do
different.
they say about it? It's like that's where empires fall.
Yeah, come to die or whatever it is. Yeah.
Didn't I might be making this up, but maybe it was like Alexander the Great, like worked his way around Afghanistan.
See, now that you
or something
said
like that?
something like that, now my mind's thinking about it.
Can we Google that, Alessi? Alexander the Great, what did he do vis-a-vis Afghanistan? He might have battled through it, but there's something that goes back to someone
Yeah.
like him,
Yeah,
like way
yeah.
back then. That like
No.
every time people try to fuck around, they find out.
Saw this on the History Channel, man. My mind's drawing a blank. Yeah.
We got anything? All right, let's see. Alexander's campaign in Afghanistan was a part of his war against the Persian Empire. He entered the territories that are now Afghanistan after his victory over the Persian Empire in 331 and 330. However, his plan to use the territories as a highway to India failed due to strong resistance
go.
from the Afghan
Yeah.
tribes. I didn't make it up.
Even he had a hard time, or
Dude.
didn't want to mess with that, which is weird. I did not expect Afghanistan to even be like that, though. Like from its appearance and the people that you see there, you would have no idea that they're willing to fight this thing out for decades.
What about the appearance of the people gives no idea about that?
Skinny, frail, malnutrition. I'm not trying to be mean, but their intellect, I think, was a little off to me. Their belief system and just they knew one thing, and it was just basically how to fight or how to survive. And even talking to we worked with some Afghan guys over there, and it was just their culture was far different. Of men were for pleasure and women for reproduction. So it was.
Where did we hear that one? Yeah, you'll remember it later. Someone else said that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a weird culture, and you see weird stuff based around what I just said of men being for pleasure, and yeah, it's just weird.
Yeah, I heard the word boys where you said
boys.
men.
There you go, boys. Yeah, T-boys or chai boys, whatever we call them. Yeah.
Now you got it, Alessi. Now it came upstairs. Yeah. There's.
I've walked into a room full of it and did a mission where literally like guys were doing their thing in the tree line, and we had to go in there and take care of that. It was a weird sight to see.
All right. Well, we're gonna be
pulling guys apart.
All right, we're gonna be getting all into Afghanistan, but back to Iraq just to cover that because that was the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
one of the things you talk about is like people make these legends of people and start to exaggerate some things. So you're very clear in your book exactly,
Yeah.
where your numbers are and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
you had to do your first kill on your first deployment
Yep.
in
Yep.
in Iraq.
Yeah.
What happened there?
Guys, if you're still watching this video and you haven't yet hit that subscribe button, please take 2 seconds and go hit it right now. Thank you.
50 cal machine gunner. So I started off in battalion as an assaulter. I was a 203 guy, grenade launcher. Went on to weapon squad where it's like all the heavy weapons. You have your 50 cal machine gun, your 240 machine guns, your Mark 48s, and all the big machine gun stuff. Being a 50 cal machine gunner on top of a striker, which is another piece of equipment we use, it's like a 40-ton vehicle, has 8 wheels, 4 on each side. It's like a tank on wheels. I was a gunner for that and a driver for it. For this particular mission, I was a gunner, and during that time, it was a curfew. People were not, allowed to be outside during a certain time, and this time had elapsed, and we see a vehicle like veering towards a convoy that I was in, and me being the lead vehicle and the gunner, I had a PO with me, I believe, and he's telling me to engage this guy. The car was like way down in the back, a lot of weight in it. I had no idea what a vehicle-borne IED was or how they used them or what to look out for. He's telling me to engage this car, and in my mind, I'm looking at him like, what are you talking about? Like, I didn't think, to shoot someone. I always thought my combat experience was going to be a blaze of glory. Your first kill, you're getting shot at, big firefight, and you have to kill someone. Not we're just cruising downtown, or not cruising downtown. It was we just got done doing an operation, taking some prisoners back. And like as the sun is coming up, you see a vehicle start to pick up speed and come straight towards our convoy. And your commander's like, hey, light this guy up. And it takes a while. And he slaps me on the helmet. He's like, light this fucker up now. And I did. Pulled the trigger on it, butterfly trigger, and skipped the rounds from the hood of his car all the way through him, like a good 9-round burst. And car went all, sideways and veered towards us or past us. And we stopped, got out. They investigated the vehicle, popped open the trunk, and he had these old artillery rounds, like wired all together in there. And that was like their shtick back then. Artillery wired to chlorine, I believe, to make like a chlorine bomb. And yeah, shot that guy. It was the first one I ever killed.
But you didn't know until they confirmed it going to the car to check him out because he was in the car.
Yeah.
Right?
So when they opened the car, that's where I could see what had happened to him. What a good amount of 50 caliber rounds to do to someone. I just saw, from my perspective, I saw sparks, and red-ish, pinkish mist, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But when they popped open the car, it was just like not even half a human. It was a disfigured human, like jelly a little bit.
Yeah.
Do
can you even process that like right in the moment when you've got that confirmed, or are you still just very much
I was still
in mode?
Yeah, still like rushing off wow, I just shot my first weapon overseas in combat. It wasn't it was hard I didn't think it was going to go down that way. I thought I was going to be getting shot at or something, not just a guy who wants to, use his car like a torpedo. But I lived off that high and just up until I got back. It was a weird experience. This is not how I expected it to go down. So it was just weird to kind of put that all together. But it was weird when I got back, though.
How long was that deployment? Like
90 days.
90 days.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was like the one time there where there was action. The rest of it was you're basically out in convoys, checking places out, and you didn't have to take action?
Every day was action. We did
There was
120 missions in 90 days. We killed, I forgot, like 1,000-something guys. The most we've ever killed in a deployment was like 1,900 in a 3-month time span. So it's every day is action. Every day is action. I might not be pulling the trigger on all those missions or operations. It's a lot of the
Yeah, that's where I misunderstood.
the assaulters and stuff like that. They are, but like every day was a pretty hectic day. Yeah.
Did you lose any guys during that first one?
Not from my platoon. We lost somebody from another platoon. I was first platoon. We had first platoon, second platoon, and third platoon. Somebody from, I believe, second platoon died. And maybe somebody else from third platoon. A couple of guys did die. Yeah. I just did not know them directly. I know they were in them, Ranger Battalion, and we might have, passed each other going to chow or something like that, going to eat, but I didn't know them personally, though.
So you don't have there's not like that straight line connection yet to like how real it gets when you or anyone else can go down out there.
Yeah. I didn't see that yet firsthand. We felt like, or to me, it felt like my platoon was just a untouchable platoon made of like little gods, man. We were just untouchable.
It's a dangerous feeling.
Big time. Because when it happens, it makes it worse too.
And again, you're still 18 at the time. Your cerebral, what is it, the prefrontal cortex or whatever?
Not developed yet.
Not developed at all.
No.
So you don't even have like a...
No. And we're doing stuff like this, man. It's crazy. It's crazy.
That's now it's crazy to you, but at the time, did you have any appreciation for that?
No, at the time, I mean, I felt like I was a grown man. Like, I felt like I was more of a... It's going to sound weird, like more of a man than my dad, or like at my dad's level a little bit. It felt like that at that time because I was doing stuff my dad never got a chance to do,
Is that competitive a little bit? Like, is that where that's coming from?
Probably. Yeah, I can see
I'll
that.
show you, old man.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah, a lot of that. And yeah, like the first time I ever killed someone, that next day I had told him about it. And he's like, don't talk about that. Not on the phone, at least. So just never talked about it again after that. He didn't find out until I left the Army, and he started to hear stuff and see stuff online or whatever.
Oh,
and,
what came later? He didn't know about that at all?
No idea. I stopped talking about killing altogether with my family. My wife didn't know until after I got out. Well, it was that last deployment. One of my team guys was we were talking, and she overheard some stuff, and and she was like, what the hell are you talking about? That's how she found out. But there's only been one deployment I haven't killed someone, and that was a trip to Afghanistan with SEAL Team 6. But
and that was later.
That was like 08. Yeah.
Got it. All right, so you do another one in Iraq after that, similar kind of op tempo?
I went to Ranger School, then to Baghdad. That op tempo was really low, like not slow. It was fun. We got a chance to work with the SEALs and use their boats. I forget what their boat is called, but we would ride up and down the river, dismount off the river. It was like almost like Vietnam a little bit, just like a small, wasn't it Vietnam, but it felt like, Vietnam. The jungle style environment.
Yeah.
Tall trees coming off the water, the ravine, and using boats to infill. That was pretty sick working with SEALs like that.
Yeah, how does that I've asked this to different guys. This part's always a little confusing for me. Like, how does it work where they're like, all right, Rangers, you're working with SEALs, or Delta Force, you're working with SEALs, or Marines, you're working with like, how does this go down?
That's a good question. I believe it comes down to who's in theater and who has a certain operational capabilities. I think it comes down to that. Like during my the second deployment in Iraq, I was a part of a joint task force. Not sure if the name is known yet, but it was a joint task force where it was us, SEAL Team 6, Delta Force, some SAS guys, and some CIA guys, and it was a pretty cool task force.
It's like the Avengers team right there.
It was literally like that. The stuff we were doing was really, really neat. Really neat.
What kind of stuff?
Just straight taking it to them. A lot of killing.
Now is that task force post Al-Zarqawi going down?
I was there for that.
Oh, you were there for
yeah,
that?
yeah. I was on that task force as well. Yeah,
Ooh.
Al-Zarqawi.
You were hunting Al-Zarqawi.
Yeah, yeah. I still have the little. They dropped these pamphlets or little pieces of paper in that town before we had actually captured him, and then we have the picture of him where his head is,
Yeah.
looking like that. But
Can't show that one on screen, but people Google it at home.
yeah, I was there for that, and I was there for. We found that whole operation, or during that mission. I remember the thing that stands out to me is like all the money we found, like in his little hideout spots and stuff that he would, I guess, visit, or people who worked for him stayed, and we would go after those guys. But they had so much money, like crisp $100 U.S. currency bills stuffed in walls.
I believe it.
Yeah.
You ever hear about like the biggest robbery in world history that happened at the beginning of the war?
No.
So like Saddam's sons went to like the Bank of Baghdad like a day into the war and just took like $1 billion.
Jeez.
And said, "See ya."
Jeez, no.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, the money that just floats around.
Yep. I have not come across a terrorist that has not had like a crisp $100 bill on them.
They hate America, but they do love our greenbacks.
Yep. Yeah.
That part's interesting to me.
Isn't it? Yeah. Then you wonder, like, how is this all getting there?
Right.
Yeah. And remote caves. So.
Remote caves.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Where they're hiding and stuff.
Yeah.
So that task force, that Zarqawi task force, this is like 05, 06. You're on that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wait, is that the one that was like Team Avengers? Or that was
both
later?
of them. I was on 2 task force, yeah. So
because this is, I mean, obviously, like the CIA was like the brain unit of trying to hunt this guy. So are you directly interfacing with people from there on intelligence as far as like where these houses are before you hit them?
yeah, they would supply all the information, all the intel. Like we're not, and if I ever came across a CIA guy, like for the majority of the time, I had no idea they were even with the agency or anything. I just thought they were some cool army guy with a
That's how
beard.
they like it.
Yeah, I had no idea who these guys were. And that's how it was for a lot of the operations. Like, you would know the Delta guys. They would either stay with us or they had no issue saying who they were with. But they wouldn't say, "Hi, I'm Delta Force." They would say, "I'm with the unit," or something like that. But yeah, they were cool guys, and they would recruit from us like every deployment. So
They would recruit from you?
yeah, from the Ranger
Oh,
battalions.
to get, right.
Yeah, to get new guys. The agency guys, they were spooky. Like, you don't know who you're really dealing with or anything like that. It was just spooky dudes. And especially being that age that I was, it was hard to, you're working with some cool guys, but you don't know who's who,
Do you have a concept at all of like the geopolitical implications of what's going on? And the reason I ask that is because you're getting there when shit has hit the fan. The whole like separating out the Ba'ath Party backfired. The insurgency of terrorists has basically seized on the upset population to rally them behind them to be like, fuck these people who are here, which includes you, obviously.
Yeah.
Like, it's a weird time. Do you have any grasp of that, or are you just so focused on like, all right, what's the next mission? Here's what we got to do. All right, great, let's do it.
That's it. Yeah, just what's the next mission? And every day, sometimes 2 or 3 missions a day. But that's my only focus. I guess after one particular mission, we had taken down a high-value target, and I remember sitting in the chow hall and seeing the mission we had just accomplished, like, on the news. I think that was, like, the most I've ever been, like, holy shit, we're doing some pretty impactful stuff. And they didn't say who did it. They did. They said it was Iraqi special forces or something. But I was like, man, that was pretty neat to be a part of missions like that, where your name or your unit does not get mentioned. It gets passed off to somebody else. That was pretty cool.
Right. I would imagine that's how most of it has to get
Yeah.
disseminated.
And then when you watch the news over there, you realize how much of it is, like, it's just all propaganda.
Right.
That was neat to see as a kid. Like, everything that you guys were getting back here was almost a lie. Not a lie. It was just a lot of propaganda.
So beyond, you're saying like, obviously beyond just like changing a team that did it or who did it, the actual information of what's happening on the ground is different.
It's totally different. Totally different.
So what would you say during that time period was the main problems with like the reporting of what's happening in Iraq?
The main problems, probably the numbers. I think the numbers of maybe civilian deaths. I think casualties. We wouldn't really advertise our mess, all the times that we messed up, or not messed up, where something bad happened, or innocent person got killed, or some of the tactics we were using to get who we were going after. But then you get older and you realize that, well, yeah, a lot of the stuff that these companies and like your cell phones are always listening to you and stuff like that, I think looking back at it now, you realize, or you think, depend on like how much of a conspiracy theorist you are. Like, were we testing all this technology out on these people first before we implemented it here? It feels like that sometimes too. Yeah.
I haven't heard that one before.
Really?
That's believable though.
Yeah, I believe so.
I mean, it's impossible to know, but in talking to some of the people I get to talk to doing this job, in your head, you're like, all right, so is DARPA 40, 50, or 60 years ahead? Right.
Like,
how far?
Oh, yeah. I'm going to go, 40 to 60.
Right?
Yeah, they're pretty up there, pretty far out there, yeah.
So what are they testing? In this case, you're talking about them testing it in a war zone over there, because who gives a fuck about them?
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
But then, what are they testing on your own population, too?
Yep. 5G. No, I don't know.
You haven't even been here an hour. Damn it.
5G.
Yeah, I can imagine that's got to be frustrating, though, because, I hate when people in offices in Washington, D.C. wearing suits have to run and duck and cover for their own decisions, and then it gets painted back on the guys who are there. Like, there's no better example than what you studied growing up with the Vietnam vets. I mean, those guys were spit on when they were brought back. But it's like, they got drafted to go there. Like, what the fuck do you want them to do?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's hell when they get there.
Yeah. Hopefully we don't have to go through that again with the way things are looking now. Hopefully we don't have to, incorporate the draft again. Who knows?
Yeah, I've heard rumors about that.
Yeah.
Maybe being a thing.
That would suck really bad, because we'd lose so bad. What was the last time we ever, like, when was the last war that we have won? Does
the 91 Gulf War count?
No.
That's like 2 days.
Yeah, and we just picked up where we left off. Yeah, it was a to be continued. Yeah.
Yeah, but the other thing is, when you look at the history of modern warfare, like post-World War II, it's usually big country in small proxy country, right? So United States in Korea, Russia, the Soviet Union, and various little countries that, weren't world powers. United States in Vietnam, United States in Iraq.
Yeah.
Russia in Ukraine.
Yeah.
Israel in Gaza. Gaza's, they're
30
not going to
miles
be
long.
number one in GDP.
Right.
Neither is Ukraine. I hate to break it to you guys.
Yeah, it's the truth. Well, they might be now, all the money we're giving them.
They still need a few years, but I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Point being, it's like they're all these wars are really what's happening outside of the wars diplomatically, or I don't even know if that's the right word to use there, but it feels like warfare is this almost like a hammer in the toolbox. Take out and banging some nails, and who gives a fuck how they feel?
Yeah, 100%. Which is weird when you think about it, especially the guys who are sending those guys out to do that stuff get a chance to go home and eat caviar, every night, if that's your thing. But
yeah, it's got to be frustrating though, because we're not putting boots on the ground there, which I like, because I don't like endless wars. I'm not one of the, just to be clear, I'm not one of these people who's like, we can never be involved. That's a really bad way to look at things. Unfortunately, the world is a nasty place, and shit happens, and you do have to take action.
Yeah.
But I'm also not one of these people that's like, well, let's just pump endless cash reserves into all these things, and all right, they lose 100K, they lose 200K, we're talking lives, whatever. Like, as a human being, I'm never gonna get behind that.
Yeah, I agree. I'm like that now too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you in Iraq, you talk about like the civilian deaths. You feel like we're being misreported and stuff like that. At the same time, you guys, it's not your fault that the people there
Yeah.
now hate you because of what politicians have decided to do.
Hmm.
It's also probably understandable that some, maybe not the total terrorists, but some of the other people may not like you
Yeah.
because like you guys are forced to have to go to door every night and like do checks and uniforms with guns in the faces
Right.
of kids.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
like, one of the things I always ask the guys who are over there is in no way to like condone terrorism or anything like that. But could you see how the 7-year-old in 2006
Oh,
who
yeah.
was getting his house broken into every night by people in suits that say America on it might hate America
Oh,
now at
yeah.
age 26?
We knew that back then. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You'd kill a dad right in front of his kid, and you can only imagine, the disdain that he has towards the guys who did that, or the country that did that to his dad, and what he's going to grow up to be. Like, I knew that back then, and some of us were there long enough to actually see the manifestation of that.
Yeah.
Over those years. 20-something years is a long time, and that's a long time.
I sent my mom a video this morning of a kid, because you got to be careful with all these videos because there's propaganda like crazy everywhere. So I'm pretty tight with those, and I can't be 100% on stuff. But there was one of a kid who was probably about 9, 10 years old, crying. I'm like, all right, I don't think he's a Hollywood actor. And he's in Lebanon, and his family had just been bombed or whatever, and he was crying, but he was making sense. He wasn't just like hysterical. He was talking about, he's like, God needs to get back at these perpetrators or whatever. And I said to my mom, I said, when this kid blows up a building in 15 years, I won't condone it and I'll hate him for it, but I'll damn well understand where it started.
Yeah, 100%. Oh yeah. It's a never-ending cycle, man. And that's what I don't get. These wars are confusing at this point. It's like, in order to I guess alleviate that issue, you'd have to kill everybody. And that's the only way that you can make that. But then you're just going to piss off somebody, their next door neighbor or something like that.
Yeah.
So, but it's a weird battle to fight, very strange battle to fight.
And it sounds like you, based on what you're saying, even at 18, 19 in those earliest deployments, you even have some understanding of that as a kid.
Oh, yeah.
That's impressive, but...
You get a chance to see it firsthand,
Yeah.
And, if I were a kid, I'd feel the same way too. If you killed my dad, probably not going to like you after that.
It's up.
Yeah. I'm going to come find you. Yeah.
Yeah, but that was one of the things you talked about, how, like, you're in these countries and these people are used to just having helicopters over their head at all times, people carrying rifles around in military uniforms on the street. And here, when we had that happen for like a week or two.
Which one was that?
After 9/11.
Okay, yeah.
Like, that was weird for people.
Were you here for that when that happened?
No, I grew up in South Jersey, but I remember 9/11.
Close enough,
It's
right?
like one of my first memories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How old were you?
I was 7.
Okay, wow,
Yeah.
man.
I remember that vividly.
Yeah.
That whole, everything about that.
It's crazy
thing.
how it's scarred into your mind like that, isn't
Yes.
it? Yeah. Damn, dude.
But we had that for like 2 weeks. To
Really?
your point, whatever it was, where not down where I was, but like when I say we, I'm talking about people who were like here in New
Really?
York, where
Yeah,
they
yeah,
walk
yeah,
outside
yeah.
and there's
I
military
forgot
guys
about
and
that.
stuff.
Humvees and all. I forgot about
Yeah.
that, man. Yeah.
But that was crazy, and it's like 2 weeks.
Yeah. Imagine 2 decades.
Yeah.
Damn, dude.
Or like 200 years.
that too? Yeah. Wow.
That's all they know.
Yeah. Dude, it was weird when I was over there. Like, some people had no idea why we were even over there. Like, what are you talking? That was a weird one. Like, you guys don't have TVs? You don't know what happened? Like, we didn't have anything to do with that. That was Saudi Arabia.
They're next door. Go there.
Wrong house. You can borrow some sugar though.
There was a Frontline documentary. I don't know how long ago, but it was years after Iraq had happened, where they went and interviewed a lot of now adults who were like kids and teenagers.
Oh wow.
When the war started.
Mm-hmm.
And they talk about like, okay, Saddam was a very bad guy. Let's not rewrite history here.
Mm-hmm.
But they talk about some of the normalcy in their life.
Ah, yeah.
Right?
I've heard stories about that too. Yeah. Like, yeah, with Saddam Hussein being the dictator or the leader, yeah.
But like they knew where they were going to go get lunch that day.
Mm-hmm.
They could go to school, stuff
Yeah.
like that. You couldn't say anything bad about Saddam or your head was going to come
Yeah.
off. But like, not to say their point was not to say we wouldn't have had complaints about that. We did.
Yeah, yeah.
But holy shit, this got way worse.
It didn't it? Big time. Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Yeah. I can't carry a shovel.
Yeah.
There was a time in Iraq where you couldn't have a shovel or a cell phone when we rolled up.
You couldn't have a cell phone.
No. Or a shovel. You would get shot for that.
Why a cell? Because they think you're calling
IEDs,
in.
yeah. Or just calling an IED. It was such a big problem back then. So the rules of engagement at one point for Spec Ops were, they were not going to say sketch. They were just, wow. Just wow. I don't think that your average person doesn't hear about that too much or, know some of the things that the rules of engagement, how they changed and fluctuated over the years. It's 1 minute it's this, next minute it's I got to win the hearts and minds now. I was never a part of doing any of that. That was like regular military, regular army stuff. Winning the hearts and minds. Our thing was like, we'll take them. They can win them. But we did a lot of that. Yeah.
We'll take them.
Yeah. Did a lot of that.
But you do those first two in Iraq.
Yeah.
You go through Ranger School. Now we're in like 07, 08, something like that. Is this when you first go to Afghanistan?
Afghanistan, yeah. Well, I did Mosul, or Tikrit, Mosul, Baghdad. Then I went to first deployment to Afghanistan was, I think it was not Kandahar. Maybe it was Kandahar. No, it wasn't Kandahar. It was Bagram, Afghanistan, because it was cold that year. And my first time ever seeing mountains, like to that nature. But Bagram, Afghanistan. That was a dull deployment. It wasn't what I expected, but no, it is what, I guess you could say it is what I expected. We knew it wasn't going to be like Iraq, where you have like a more city environment. And it just wasn't that much action for guys like us in Afghanistan during that time frame. It was the slow deployments. That's where guys would just go to lift weights, and you found out what SEAL stands for. It's sleep, eat, and lift. Those were those deployments.
Yeah.
But it picked up quick, though. It picked up my second go around to Afghanistan.
But when you first get called in to go there, this is now 6-7 years since we invaded. 03 we go into Iraq, and the line, I think that's very fair, is like took your eye off the ball, right?
Yep.
Because I mean, people forget, but the beginning of Afghanistan was like one of the most successful modern military operations in history.
Yeah.
So now you're going there where the resources have been pulled a while ago.
Big time.
And now what was the running and hiding and fledgling Taliban is like, when I hear this history, it's like they were slowly dripping their way across the country and telling people, hey, your life wasn't that bad before this, right?
Yep. It was a weird environment, I think. But you're 100% correct when you say the resources were just pulled out of that. It was all focused towards, Iraq and getting Iraq done with. But I think that we had also like a huge influx of the foreign fighters coming in at that point, coming into Afghanistan, and they started to have more balls, man. They were more ballsy of, we're going to have a safe haven here and we're going to fight. And Afghanistan started to slowly become that. And depending on where in Afghanistan you were, it was kind of crazy. Like up in the mountains, the Hindu Kush, I don't know what it was called, but some regular army guys, I never got a chance to do any outpost stuff like that. Ours was all direct action, just going to this hut, that mountain, that village. So it was a little different, but
the first one, none of that really happens. The first one, you're just chilling and working out every day.
Yep. Trying to fight SEAL Team 6 guys, man. That's literally what it was all about. They didn't like us. We didn't like them.
Oh, you didn't get along with them?
No, it was a bad deployment. They had to put up a big, fence in between us because the tensions were high. They were not allowed to mess with us or see us. We had different eating times, different bathrooms, different everything.
The tensions were high over
Yeah.
what? Who fucked someone's girl?
I don't know. I was just along for the ride, man. I'm like, hey, you got beef with my guys, and yeah, I don't know. It was just I guess it was just a lot of competition, and we didn't think that those guys were as good as what other people say. We thought that we could do the same things they could do. Because we had been doing it for so long, side by side with Delta. Sometimes Delta would give us their missions if they were going to go do something else. So we were good at what we were doing, but it was like they wanted to, like big bro, like a big brother, with a little brother, just push you off to the side. I want to do this. And it just got old after a while. Like, no, we don't do that. So
A little bit of arrogance.
very much so. Very much so. Yeah. That's where I got my disdain for SEAL Team 6 guys. I like the SEALs are cool. They're fine. And they didn't do they just weren't they did not do they're water-based guys, If you want us to take over an oil rig, don't call a ranger, call a SEAL. We'll tear that thing up. We'll all drown. So call those guys. But when it comes to destroying something on land, would call us. Yeah.
So when you see Bin Laden get whacked in 11, you're like, yeah, and then they're like,
Then I
it was
found out
SEAL
who it
Team
was.
6.
Yeah.
You're like, fuck.
Yep. I was hoping for Delta, man. I was hoping for Delta to have it, but they were in Iraq at that time.
It's like those are the same guys I was fighting with in 08.
Yep. Same.
funny
No,
as shit.
no shit, man. The same guys. The same guys.
You must
Same
have.
guys.
Corbett was there because he was SEAL Team 6 at that
I
time. I
don't-
just had him sitting in that chair.
I'd have to see faces. Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was Can we pull up Daniel Corbett, Serbian prisoner? This is the guy I was telling you about
Yeah.
who was taken prisoner in Serbia. I feel like he would have been one of the guys. Like, he's the dude in the corner of the room. Like, God damn it. Like, he just doesn't give a fuck. This dude.
More than like, how does he? Yeah, he looks familiar, man.
That dude in the glasses on
Yeah.
the left.
Yeah.
And that's him. Yeah. That's him with Mike Ritland right there.
More than likely, dude. I've done ops with him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he did not strike. Like, I don't know that I've had a 6-team guy in here, but I've seen a lot of content with
Yeah.
SEAL Team 6 guys.
Yeah.
I was surprised that he was. And then he got talking, just his approach. I'm like, oh, he's a savage. But
Mm-hmm.
not the... he's
Stereotypical.
definitely- no.
Yeah. You
He's
can
no
always
Taylor Kavanaugh.
you can always spot a SEAL Team 6 guy. Yeah. But
Yeah.
some of them blend in really good. Like,
Yeah.
I could never tell. Yeah.
That's the guy that blends in.
Gotcha.
For
Yep,
sure.
yep.
But yeah, he must have, unless I'm off a couple months on the deployment,
It
but
could
he
be
was
months,
there.
but we were all, yeah.
He
we
was
worked
there
together.
with SEAL Team 6 at that time. Obviously, they have heats that they go in. But
Yeah.
still, that's funny. Small world. So you guys are just chilling, and you couldn't even work out with them?
No. We had this little like prison gym in a small, like an old rundown, old empty or a schoolhouse, old school, and that's where we lived at. They had expanded the compound, and SEAL Team 6 had their own equipment, had their own MWR, the computers, their phones and stuff. But it wasn't many. They don't ever travel. Like, we're traveling with 35 to 40 guys. SEAL Team 6 guys, they're like, a small handful.
Right.
Very small handful. I found that cool. What they could do with the least amount of guys, but I just felt like we were way better.
And you never left during that deployment? You never left the base?
Oh, hell yeah. We went out with those guys all the time.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, they would just do all the killing.
Okay, wait.
Yeah.
So there was action. You were just...
Oh, there was action.
You
We
were
just-
hanging back, and you're like, fuck, you guys?
Exactly.
You already
yeah.
took care of it?
Yeah, it was a lot of that. Like, no, you guys...
Ah.
You guys carry our stuff, and when we get there, we'll get it back, and we'll go knock this out. It was a lot of that.
Got it. So you're like
Yeah.
in the rear in a way.
Well, in the rear enough to like smell the gunpowder.
Yeah.
And see the dead bodies. Yeah.
You're like, we missed it.
Yeah.
That's the thing. All of you guys in Special Forces do say the same thing, and it makes sense to me. It's like if you train your whole life to be in the NFL
Mhm.
and you get there, you ain't trying to be backup quarterback. You want to play.
Exactly.
But in the NFL, with very few exceptions, people don't die, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
some bad injuries, but for the most part, like, people do live. You're talking about, though, the same mentality where it's like you're going to go out there and there's bullets flying at you, and you and your boys might not come back, but that's the only place you want to be.
Hell yeah. You don't even think about I've never thought about it as like, oh no, there's like, guys are going to be shooting at you. That doesn't scare you though. And you don't, like, I thought about death all the time. Not all, I thought about it a lot, but I'm not thinking about it so much as to where it's going to like make me a coward or shy away from something. It's just like, oh, well, you could die. You could die tomorrow too, could die back at home. You could die anywhere. So it really wasn't like that big of a deal. Yeah. And you have a gun. Like, one of the greatest speeches I've ever been given was by my first sergeant. And he said, it's the easiest, most memorable speech I can remember. It was, they got guns, we got guns. Let's go. That was it. So it's, we're just better at what we do. Like,
yeah.
They have a gun. Oh, well, that's fine. That's cool. But like, we've been training for this for months and months on end. So you don't really think you're going to walk into a firefight and expect it to be your last firefight. No. 99% of the time, if we're going up against people with guns, which was a lot, like, it was a very one-sided, extremely one-sided. Yeah.
What deployment did you become a sniper officially?
Officially 2008. Yeah.
Okay, so this is for this one. You're a sniper.
Yeah.
So you've gone through sniper school and all that?
I went through, so in our battalion during that time, we had I guess you can call it like a sniper pipeline. Before we would send guys to sniper school, we would send them to like civilian sniper courses, but they were sanctioned by the U.S. government, U.S. military, Army. I went through a extreme long range precision sniper school. No, first it was just precision sniper school in Texas, a place called Kingsville. I went through a extreme long range, then I went to a high angle one in California, but not the Marine Corps one. It was put on by a really well-known shooting instructor. And then after that is when I went to sniper school. And I think it was like 5 weeks or 6 weeks. I forget how long sniper school is. It might be 8 weeks long. I don't
Was that
remember.
in Indiana?
No, that was in Fort Benning.
That was in Fort Benning.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then after that, so I did like 4 sniper schools before, or all together total, 3 before I went to the official U.S. Army one. And that's like, it's an easy sniper school course after you've been through all the other courses you've taken. Like, you're not even shooting that much in U.S. Army sniper school. A lot of it, like 10% of it's shooting, 20% of it's shooting, 80%'s the fundamentals, the sniper formulas, the
sniper formulas?
Yeah. What's a good one? Okay, so like the scopes we use are mil-dot scopes. Inside the scope, you have that crosshair, and you have dots on it, or lines on it, or hash marks on it. And you can use that as a form of measurement to see how far away something is and to adjust for the wind and elevation for the bullet. So let's say an easy calculation would be, I'm looking at a target and I measure him from his groin to the top of his head. The average male body is around 40 inches, give or take a few inches. So 40 times this constant, 24 meters, would be 25.4. And 40 times 25.4 is 1,016. And if I take 2 mil dots from the groin to the top of your head and plug it into 1,016, it comes out to 508. So I know you're 508 yards away. Then there's one for like yards, and it's multiplying it by 27.7, and you get a different formula. Yeah. But that's a basic, very basic formula. Then you have your wind formulas, and then you have to go out and apply it and stuff like that. Then you have stalking and everything else.
Stalking?
Yeah. Stalking, where your ghillie suit stalking, given a target, or an instructor is sitting in the back of a pickup truck and you have to sneak within like 200, 300 yards of this instructor. You're given a time limit. and there's a team of instructors looking at you. They know where you're starting from, and they know where you have to be, and they're looking all in that field, that area. And the objective is not to get caught, pull off a shot, and sneak back out without being seen. And they have instructors that, after you take the shot, will come within a few feet of you, and they'll say, I'm within 3 feet of the sniper. The instructor on the back of a truck or something, he's looking, say, I think I see him down here by your feet at this area, this location. Put your hand on him, top of his head, and they're like, no, that's not him. That's like the hardest part of sniper school. Then you have to sneak back out. And
Whoa.
yeah.
That's
Most
intense.
people fail that portion, like 70% fail that portion.
And then did they get a chance to redo it, or are they out?
Oh, you get kicked. I mean, you get 5, I think it's 5 chances to do it. I forget. But if you fail, like, you have to make 70% of your stalks. If you don't, then you get kicked out. I'm not sure if you can come back to sniper school, or you have to wait like a year or something like that. I have no idea. I went straight through. That's like one of the only courses I went straight through, and it wasn't hard like that.
You were just kind of born for it.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
That comes across.
Yeah.
Because, like, snipers are so fascinating to speak with, because it's not to put down any other types of warfare. It's all important, like, where it comes from. But, like, when you're up in front on the assault, it's like you're much more, not literally hand to hand, but you know what I mean. You're right there, like, all right, point, shoot, kill.
Mm-hmm.
You guys, you know, you're doing fucking Albert Einstein's equations up there, and doing insane math. What's the term again for the curvature of the Earth you got to take into account too?
They call that the Coriolis effect.
That's it. Yeah, the Coriolis effect, right? You got to, I love that you laid out the formula there and how that would work based on inches and distance and everything.
I hope my math is right. What is 40 times 25.4? Should be 1016.
He didn't have a calculator when he was doing this. He would have had a calculator out there.
Oh, yeah.
But
no, I wouldn't.
No?
No.
You didn't take a calculator out there with you?
I hated technology. Like, I like the old school 25.4. 40 times
40 times 25.4?
Yeah.
That changes the game that you didn't have a
16.
calculator.
There we go.
You were dead on.
So it's I didn't like the calculator. I liked the like old school Carlos Hathcock type Vietnam sniping. Green Berets, they love that stuff, but I was just never into that.
Well, it's like
It
the
helps.
smallest thing can change from a kill to a complete miss.
Oh, 100%.
Like literally a millimeter.
Oh yeah, 100%. Which we saw with the attempted assassination,
Yes.
the first one. So it's a matter of millimeters and inches, definitely.
And that one was only like 375, 400 yards.
Just very short distance.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're talking about, I mean, you did a shot from 750. What was your longest one? Like 1,000?
Yeah.
That's a whole different ballgame.
Over half a mile, yeah. That was I'm not gonna say it was luck. It was less math. Well, I did use apply a little bit of math, but what I did was watch where the bullet impacted, the first bullet. Like when it missed, I was like, oh, okay, well, I just need to hold up.
Oh, okay.
Just pick it up a little bit.
Hold it right there, buddy.
Yeah.
Right there. Yeah. A little to the left.
Yeah. That's pretty much how it went. He saw the bullet. He saw it impact, and by the time he looked up to see where it was coming from, or where he thought it was coming from, like the second one was already apexing. Like it was a clean shot. And you can see the vapor trail. It's like the Matrix type.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always think, remember that movie Wanted, where they'd like
Yeah.
turn the
Oh,
bullets
yeah,
and
yeah,
shit?
yeah.
Nah, it's like crazy, but I always think about if some of it is in just enough slow motion for people as highly skilled as you, that like it's not like that, but like you can literally almost stop time for a second and feel where that bullet is.
Yeah. It is almost like it takes a trained eye to pick up on trail or trace of a bullet, and it takes time, I think, to adapt your eye to it because it's happening so quick. You know, at half a mile, the bullet is taking, what is it, 1.7, 1.8 seconds to get there. That's a pretty good chunk of time, you know. But shorter distances, like a few hundred yards, that it's hard to even comprehend how fast that bullet gets there.
Can you even, if you're at 1,000 yards and it happens to be a day where it's stormy, can you even take that shot?
Stormy? No.
Right.
How much wind are we talking?
20, 25 miles an hour
Ooh.
with rain coming down.
Rain is not a factor, though.
Really?
Yeah.
Not at all.
No. Rain's not a factor.
Why not?
Bullets moving fast enough, and you have a. You ever see the video of a sonic jet when it's that cone coming off of it?
What do we search? Let's pull it up.
I'm not a jet guy. The cone that comes off the plane when it's going really fast.
Try sonic jet cone coming off plane. Vapor cone?
Not the vapor cone. That's
breaking the sound barrier?
Yeah.
All right, let's try that one.
There
Second
you go.
one there?
Yep. Our bullet moving really fast. They have like a still photo. It's almost like that.
Also, people, if it cuts ahead at some point here, it's because it's copyright and you missed the video. I'll put the link in the description. If not, then we're gonna be able to play it.
And Wanted.
There we go. I
There
love
should be
that.
a-
I love that movie.
Should be a
When
picture
I
or
was a
whatever
kid.
of like a bullet when it's going. That's not, and that's fake. You can tell because it still has the cartridge attached to the actual projectile.
Oh, that's AI?
Oh yeah.
Damn it.
But when you see a still image of a bullet, there's a cone going off of it.
Would that work?
No, it'd have to be a picture, a still frame.
All right, if you find it later,
Yeah,
I'll throw the link in the
yeah.
description for people. I get what you're saying, though.
But there's a cone that comes off of it, and it's not affected by any water or anything like that. And those are all fake photos. Oh, there's one right down, the black and white one. It's that cone.
This one?
Yeah, so you see there you go. That's perfect. All that. That's the water does not touch the bullet, doesn't affect the bullet, nothing like that.
I would never guess that because,
Yeah.
like, you would just think, like, the physical force. I mean, it's not much, but it doesn't take much. You know what I
No,
mean?
no,
To move
no.
a bullet off.
Once
but
it hits,
the wind does.
yeah, but once it hits transonic, when it stops being supersonic, maybe you might have an issue there.
What distance does it hit transonic?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Depends on what you're shooting.
200 yards past Donald Trump?
What do you mean?
Meaning his was close enough that it doesn't hit
Oh,
transonic?
with transonic, it's 1,000 plus a mile plus. Yeah, depending on what you're shooting. But at that distance, no, it's still very or supersonic.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that wouldn't be a factor. Wind's going to be the greatest factor. And like I may have shot in 20-mile-an-hour winds once down here, or not here, but in Texas, in Kingsville. Wasn't very accurate.
How far?
Maybe like 500, 600 yards.
So how much would, let's say 500 yards, rounder number,
Yeah.
how much would a bullet move in 20-mile-an-hour wind there?
Oh my gosh, you're getting my math going now.
Well, you're apparently good at it, even if you didn't try in
Yeah.
school. Like, it's in there.
I haven't done a wind formula in a minute. So let's say per 1 mile an hour wind at 1,000 yards, per 1 mile an hour wind, adrift you're around, I think it's like 10 feet with a 3-away. I might be off with the wind formula, but I know it's a drastic.
10 feet's a lot. 10 feet's from there to the
Yeah.
edge. So
Per-
you're shooting here
Mhm.
to get there at 500 feet. That's going to be in like 0.8, 0.9 seconds. You're shooting from here to get it to there in 0.8 seconds.
At a certain distance, like at 1,000 yards. At 500 yards, at 20 mile an hour wind, dude, that's you're holding mils. So
You're holding what?
mils, the dots inside the scope on the crosshair, and in between. So there's like a mil dot itself is 0.2 mils. It comes from mil radian, and then in between each one, it's 3 point. Oh shit, 3 point. I want to say 3 point. We would use 3.4, 3.6 or something. I think 3.6. Distance in between each one. So if at 100 yards, right? If I'm lining my crosshairs up with the center of an object, let's say a quarter, and I shoot the quarter, or try to shoot the quarter, my crosshairs are lined up, and I'm 3.6 inches high. That bullet impact should be exactly or very close to where that first mill dot is going to be at. So it's at that distance. At 200 yards, it times it by 2. 300 yards, you multiply it by 3, and it increases at that rate up until forever. So, yeah, a 20-mile-an-hour wind at 500 yards it's significant, very significant.
Yeah,
You're not going to aim at it; you'll miss by feet.
What was the longest military shot on record? Do you remember? We can Google it. I can't remember it off the top of my head.
This is going to sound crazy. I might be way over my head. I think it was like 2+ miles. I'm totally not sure.
Yeah, let's check that out.
And if I'm not mistaken, it was by a Canadian guy.
Oh, is this the dude that was on Sean's show?
I don't remember.
I think it is. All right, so this is a Ukraine-made Volodar. Oh, the longest military sniper shot in history was made in November 2023 by a Ukrainian sniper.
See, I don't believe this. This is, I think, BS. We'll consider it. We'll consider it, but there should be the Canadian sniper right there for 2.19 miles. Maybe the Ukrainian guy did get it, but I saw the equipment he used, and I don't know.
Leslie, can you type in Sean Ryan, Canadian sniper, longest shot? I feel like this was the guy. He had him on for something else. This is a while ago.
That guy. I think it was him, right?
Yeah, that's him.
2.2 miles away.
His name's like Dallas or something? Is that it?
Wow, yeah.
Can you just click that real quick, Alessi, so we can get his name? Give him a shout out. Pause it real fast. I want Sean to copyright strike me. Dallas Alexander. That's it.
Oh wow, 2.2 miles, man.
2.2.
That's a shot I would not ever take. I'm just not comfortable with that. No, good for him. That's sick, man.
Because there's people in the kill radius that you might not want to kill.
I don't even care about that. It's just
fuck them kids.
I'm not worried about. That's just a long shot. I don't have time for that math. A mile,
God.
2 plus is that's pushing. I don't know how long it took the bullet to get there. It had to be sandwich making time. Yeah.
Sandwich, that's good. Sandwich making time.
Enough to make a sandwich, yeah.
You wait for it to get there.
Yeah, that's a minute, man, of travel.
It's like 2. A Scud missile coming in a way.
Yeah. And coming straight up, straight on top too. That's, straight on top. That bullet's falling at that distance.
The bullets you were using in your gun, like using your fingers, how long are they?
About like that big. Oh, the projectile part that comes out?
Yeah.
Oh, like maybe that big.
Enough to do damage.
Yeah, like pinky, the tip of your pinky.
Right.
Yeah, and you're lobbing that, half a mile to a mile.
Now,
maybe not a mile, no.
What was your, ritual with this? Like, you talk a lot about the gun and, painting the gun and stuff like that. I thought that was really cool because it's almost like you wanted to feel it and whatever. But once you actually, and you can talk about that too, but once you get out there and you know the spot you're going to that you want to use, from the minute you get to the spot to the minute you go to be ready to take a shot, what are you doing?
From the moment I'm about to...
From the moment you get there, you haven't set up anything yet?
Gotcha.
Like you're about to get down, get in your nest right here. Like what's your routine?
I'm looking at wind or feeling the wind mainly, and there's not really, I didn't have that much time. By the time I set up on the rooftop and by the time that the assaulters got there, it's 1 minute, 2 minutes. So it's not much time to even absorb all that. Mainly just the environment. I just want to feel the environment, feel if there is any wind. Just feeling the environment, getting in tune with that and locking myself into a bubble that nothing can distract me from. That was the only routine that I had. And just it's just a certain amount of focus that I haven't achieved outside of that line of work is being inside that bubble of, and that in tune with just nature. You can feel everything. You're like one big, you know, like a radar, meteorologist like style radar or something like that. You feel everything: the wind, the temperature, humidity, barometric pressure. I mean, not
The
exactly.
barometric pressure.
You're not really feeling that, but that does get taken into consideration depending on how far a shot is.
I don't even know what that is.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds familiar, but I forgot that one.
They
from
talk
school.
about it on the news every once in a while on the Weather Channel. Yeah.
Is that like the thing that you put the stick on top of the can and it like moves up and down like a barometer or whatever? Is that what you're talking about?
you guys did that in school?
Yeah.
My school is different, man.
I
I don't know.
remember we put that shit outside and watched it move.
Really?
Yeah, that's barometric pressure. Is that the same concept?
I have to see the tool you're talking. I have no idea.
Can you type in a barometer? Homemade barometer, Alessi?
If you can make a homemade barometer, I might use this for my kid. Teach him how to make one.
I remember this was like
You had a cool school.
this was the when I was in school at 9/11. Like I remember this was like right in the corner.
Wow.
That shit right there. Yeah.
Wow. That is really neat.
Right? You're gonna take that out sniping now.
Yeah. That is really neat.
I can't believe I taught you something.
Wow. Yeah, dude.
That's
I've
incredible.
Yeah.
I don't know what that
never-
shit does, but I hope it's useful.
It tells you when it's going to rain and when it's not.
What was that Family Guy? It's gonna rain
Oh, yeah. Dude, we used to watch so much Family Guy overseas.
on the bases.
Yeah, I know exactly the episode you're talking about. It started raining sideways. I know exactly the episode. It's raining sideways. Yeah.
So I got you off your topic. You're feeling the wind. You're feeling the environment around you, the temperature, the barometric pressure, and then when you actually get into mode with your gun. You know, a lot of snipers, you guys have like breath work, right? With how you shoot. So how would yours work?
Extremely calm. As calm as I can get it. Because after, like, we're walking into an objective, it could be for a couple of miles, 3 miles or whatever. You're not smoke tired, but you can be, depending if you're walking uphill or something, or if you just got done running to the objective. So I'm calming down my heart rate as much as I possibly can. Breathing, that's my, I guess, definition of getting into the bubble. It's where you take your deep breaths, and you're just calming everything down, calming your heart rate down. You don't want the heart rate to, when it's beating really fast, you'll see it flutter inside the scope, and you want to calm that down as much as possible and just relaxing. It's borderline sleeping. Like, sniping is one of the most boring jobs in the military. As a warfighter, it's extremely boring. Extremely boring. It's a lot of sitting and waiting, and it's just fighting boredom. But when that one time comes where you have to make the shot, then it makes up for everything. The excitement, the thrill, all the stuff that went into making that shot happen. It's a huge trade-off. But
The idea of slowing down your heart rate, though.
yeah,
It's like telling adrenaline not to be there because I hear what you're saying about it being a boring job, and that makes sense for most things. But we're gonna get to the deployment where it popped off soon, and like, unless I'm reading that wrong, there's nothing boring about what happened during that because you were basically getting put in and shit was firing.
which one are you talking about? The
3.5 month.
oh, that was that was not boring.
Yeah, that was
not,
different.
Yeah, that was way different.
So like that's what I'm saying though, and it's different if you're like. Bad time to be saying this, but like presidential protection and you're sitting up there and it's boring as hell.
Yeah.
Versus like shit's popping off and your adrenaline's going because you see bullets flying everywhere.
Yeah.
They're in your earpiece going, shoot, whatever. Like how do you basically tell your body, hey, adrenaline, stop. Go.
A lot of training. That's the only thing I can chalk it up to. It's the amount of training we go through. To where like certain situations don't really knock you off your game as much. Like by that point you should know what it's like to be shot at. So that's not really too much of a concern. It's concerning, but I mean, to make it stop, you just have to shoot the person shooting at you, and then you don't have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about it anymore. So that's like a huge, I guess, factor in it. You want the bad stuff to happen, want the boogeyman to go away, just kill the boogeyman. Other than that, it's just a lot of stuff comes from breathing. You look at the Shaolin monks or whatever, guys who are the Tibetan monks, or the guys who can meditate for days on end and like almost borderline not exist in this reality. And it all comes from or stems from breath work. If you don't have the foundational breath work for anything, then like it doesn't matter anyways. But you can calm down your adrenaline rush, anxiety attacks, panic attacks, all with breathing. So it's just a lot of breath work.
Yeah,
Mainly.
I believe in that stuff, especially like when I was dealing with some cortisol problems from some other health problems.
Yeah.
Like some of those little like, what would it be, like 4 shallow breaths in,
Yeah,
4
yeah.
deep breaths in, 1 and then 2 out. Like
It's like a box. What do they call it?
yeah,
Box breathing or
yes,
something? Yeah.
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 That listen, it didn't take it away completely, but
Yeah.
like it would
helped.
help
Yeah.
big time.
I can see that. And there's no different when it comes to sniping. We're not doing box breathing or anything. It's regular breathing, just deeper, more conscious breaths. But it's and you want to hear, you get really in tune with your own breath, listening to it. Like slow down, calm down, calm down. I'm just shooting a gun. Relax. The more tight that you are, more tension in your muscles, the worse shot you're gonna have. You just want to be a slab of meat behind the gun. And once you have achieved that state, everything else is like second nature.
What's the like when you would actually go to take the shot, so your fingers on the trigger and you'd pull the release, was there like Danny Hall talked about it was like actually trippy watching him talk about it because he turned like right to the camera and like aimed at the camera and he's like he would just go shh or something like that. Is it similar like what you would do?
I'm always on the glass, like looking through. Right before I pull the trigger, I'm looking exactly where I want to shoot, what I want to hit. I might close my eyes for a second and open it just to see if my sights are still on target. That's determining your natural point of aim. And if not, that means something's off with your body position to the rifle. So you want to change up a body position or whatever. But one long breath out, good breath out, not to the point to where you hold it, because then after a while you start to get the little twitches and your lack of oxygen. So right on my exhale, I'm pulling the trigger back as crisp and straight back to the rear as I possibly can. You don't want to, like I went to this shooting school in Texas and it talked about the harmonics of a rifle. Every time the rifle shoots, it whips at a very I'm not gonna say microscopic level, but if you slow down a rifle shooting, you'll see it whip. And it's actually pretty amazing that these bullets can go straight that way, or as straight as they do when the bullet whips after you shoot it, or the gun shakes. And it's the harmonics of it, but it has a natural harmonic frequency or tune or whatever that it's always going to be consistent in or within those parameters. But if you introduce an outside influence, let's say if I were to rest the barrel on top of this wooden table, right, and pull the trigger, the bullet's not going to go straight anymore, or it's going to go straight. It's just not going to go where I wanted it to because of the harmonics when it goes off. So I'll get an impact up high. You'll see the bullet go up higher. If I'm introducing tension or pressure on the top part of the barrel with the hard object, it causes the bullet to go low or shoot lower or wherever. So pulling the trigger straight back to the rear so you don't interfere and touch the rails on the inside of the gun helps out with the harmonics of making the rifle be or shoot as straight as it possibly can within its parameters. And that's the stuff I'm looking for. Straight pull back to the rear. Don't touch the sides of the rail with the trigger. Hold it back. Don't slap the trigger. It's called follow through. I'm still breathing at that point. My eyes are still locked onto the target. I'm not gonna like be surprised and oh blink or nothing like that. Eye stays glued onto the target, onto the scope, and shoot. See where it hits. If I have to make an adjustment, don't freak out about it and say, oh, it hit here, adjust here. If I have to dial up or if I'm going to hold it up or use the little mill dots we talked about to adjust for the shot. But there's not much, maybe I just never thought too much into it. It was just like, it's a job, I guess. You know the job, you know what you have to do to calm down. And it took you a lot to get there anyways. You just don't, wake up and say, I'm going to be a sniper today. That's a tough, different, it's a different mindset to get into.
Yeah, I think you have to be, for different, just to be in the military or special ops in general, you have to be built mentally a little differently. But then in the specific jobs one can have, there's different mentalities that may work the best for each of them.
Yeah.
And it's very clear that at least, when you were in your career doing this and in the moment, like you almost come across as like dry.
Very.
Like cut and dry. This is what it is. All right, there's a shot. Cool. Let's take it.
Yeah.
And that's to me, because like I'm an emotional guy.
Really?
Yeah, I would not in your job. I don't know that if I had trained to do that, I wouldn't have been as suited for it because I'm
emotional.
more,
how? Like you would cry? Or?
No. Like I'd be too jacked. I'd be like, oh, fuck, let's go. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like you saw that dude like recoil in the video of the Trump attempted assassination up there. It was almost like he was like a little too up for that moment right there. That's not the guy who took the shot, right? Like it doesn't. I mean, we're all human. There might have been something there at some point where you're like, oh shit. But you are very like, oh.
Yeah. That's how I think all snipers are. The guys that train me and the guys that I've seen, just most of the snipers that I know are quiet, very, like you said, just very cut and dry, just very, this is it, that's it, it's not too much thought behind it. If you thought a lot as a sniper, I don't think you'd make a great sniper. The more you think about stuff,
I'm out.
Yeah, it could, if your mind starts getting to you and asking too many questions, it's not a good job to have.
Yeah, there's a lot floating around in this head of mine. You wouldn't like that in your job. But sure.
After you become a sniper and after you've served, then you just develop this weird case of ADD. Like all snipers have ADD now. Well, not a lot of them that I know.
What do you think that's because of?
I think we've always had it. It's just for some odd reason, sniping, like I guess it's its natural remedy or medicine. I don't know. But I know a lot of snipers with ADD. Like I have ADD really bad. yeah, bad. But
it's almost like the stakes are. You need the stakes there to be high enough that it's like, oh, other people are depending on me, so I can lock in.
There you go. Yep. I would have made like a terrible. I guess I don't know. I don't think I would have made a great SEAL. Like my mind gets to me in dark places. And I've been scuba diving, got the whole scuba diver thing, but I don't like being in dark places and not being able to see. Like that freaks me out. Daytime jumping out of a plane, I'm still terrified, but I'll like borderline pass out at nighttime jumps. And that's the majority of the jumps that we did in battalion were all nighttime. And I have some terrible stories of jumping at nighttime. It's just I can't see anything. The unknown is just weird, So I'd have made a terrible SEAL in the long run. So I'm glad they didn't.
It worked out for you.
Yeah, it worked out perfect, man.
It worked out just fine. But you named your gun Dirty Diana.
Yes, sir.
Where'd that come from?
Michael Jackson.
Just the song itself.
Straight
you're like,
up,
I just
Michael.
want to name it Dirty Diana.
I was a huge Michael Jackson fan growing up. One of the oldest memories I have, I was still in Germany. I was sitting on my mom's lap, and this Michael Jackson concert or his performance came on, and I remember him ripping off his shirt, opening up. That's all I remember, man, and that stuck with me. And like, I loved Michael Jackson. growing up and listening to his music and stuff. But Dirty Diana, I like the guitar in it. Just like I had no idea what it was about. I just liked the song and the guitar. And I remember we were doing this mission, and this was in Iraq. And we had these, and inside the Striker, there's speakers. You can have internal comms and stuff. One of my teammates, I'm not going to mention his name, he plugged in his, what do we call those things? An iPod?
Like where it was
The music
without the phone? Yeah,
It was just iPods.
Yeah.
He connected his iPod to the internal speakers, and we had some Michael Jackson playing in this crazy firefight in Mosul. And it was
Wait, you had Michael Jackson playing
oh yeah.
while you're out here snatching bodies.
Yeah, it's the sickest thing ever. Yeah. That was
I think you guys might need to talk to some shrinks.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah. That was one of my cooler times in Iraq.
Could you imagine just being a terrorist and you go out to like Michael Jackson and just be like, Dirty Diana?
No, it's the time, man. Oh yeah. Then it kind of grew from there, and by the time I got issued my rifle, it was just like everybody gave their rifle a name, like a girl name. I forget some of the other guys, but mine was, I wanted Dirty Diana.
Sick
It was
name.
yeah. It's a Michael Jackson fan. Yeah, it's MJ at the time. I'm not too sure about it now, but how we all feel about Michael. But yeah, at that time he was my guy.
Hey, look, that was the king of pop, man.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
was no one like him. Unbelievable talent.
Oh,
Say
yeah.
nothing the other. Listen, I Believe I Can Fly is a great song. All right.
Oh, you're talking about R.
I'm
Kelly?
talking about R. Kelly now.
Yeah.
I'm glad
Yeah.
he's in prison, but I'm bumping that
Yeah,
shit.
yeah. I still might play a little R. Kelly on the side.
Send me to jail for doing that, but good music's good music. I don't know.
I feel you, man.
Like someone asked me, like, "Yo, what if Hitler had made a banger song?" I'm like, "Don't do that.
I'm gonna bang it.
Don't do that. Don't do that to me." But yeah, what was the whole thing? I brought this up a few minutes ago, but like, why were you so into painting the gun over and over again?
Weird story. I don't think I like talked about in the book or anything. So, like, I sucked at school, but I was really good at art. So I think it was like middle school, 8th grade. I got invited from a college to join their art program. So I was going to college for a little bit, doing art because I like art, drawing and painting. And I think that's where it like stemmed from. I like drawing and painting. And I didn't like the way the gun came stocked. The SR-25 that I had. It just looked dull. And painting it for me was like my artistic expression, because I would change it up all the time, the patterns. One week it would look like, leaf pattern. The next operation and may have like a checkered style pattern. Different color variations. I like the artistic expression behind it. It was mine. It made you feel more connected to the rifle, or for me, it did. And I think that's what, why I did it all the time. And I have ADD, so it was like never good. It was always, I got to do it again. It was like a fix,
Right.
And there's only so many things you can do overseas. Like, either you're gonna watch Anchorman again, go to Chow, do what guys do. When there's no one around.
Well, according to Mike Ritlin, they do it when people are around.
Oh, I bet. Oh, he's a SEAL. Yeah, SEALs probably do.
Yeah, he's like, they're just sitting in beds, yanking their chain.
Oh, that too. Yeah. Been there.
Oh, you're talking about, what were you talking about?
Just because of the fact that they're SEALs, the Navy. It's a Navy
okay.
joke.
All
Navy
right.
joke.
Gotcha.
Just a bunch of seamen just
Yeah.
being together. But it's only so much you can do overseas, and painting my rifle was one of them, and a way to like connect to.
Yeah, it felt like a ritual.
Big time.
Right?
A huge your rifle has to be like an extension of your body.
Yes.
It cannot be any different. If it doesn't feel like your arm or your heart, then it sucks. You can tell if it's your rifle or if you pick up someone else's rifle and they're both identical, same SR-25 rifles. but it's just something about yours that now I have a connection to that one. That one's mine.
It's what
Yeah.
keeps you alive.
Yeah, big time. Yep.
You know?
Yep.
I hear so many of you guys who were over there just talk about like that's
That's
the
man.
reason I'm here.
Yeah. That's
know?
it. It's weird to think about it. That's weird to think about. It's the only reason why we're here. Yeah. That gun. So maybe that's why we all get out and get them. You know? All of us, man.
Yeah. I mean, what strikes me is that, you know, you're going through so many things here in so many different eras in a way, whether it be all the different massive training you're doing or the different deployments to different theaters as well. And it's like the story of someone who's like 45 and saying like, look at what I just finished doing, but you're 23 at this point or like 22.
Yeah.
You've kind of lived.
You're not the
life.
first person to say that. That's weird. But when I think about it, like, you're kind of right. Like, it does sound, when I hear myself talk about it, man, I'm like, damn, it sounds like I did a lot. But then I know guys with like 14 deployments. So it's all perspective for me, you know. Well, he died. So, yeah. I know guys with like way more deployments and stuff.
Yeah, but I'm saying like maybe by the end, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I'm saying like once you rack up a few deployments, like you've been around,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I'm saying you've been around and have seen the shit and done the shit and been in all the different shit at like 22.
Yeah.
You know, there's not a lot of guys that can talk about at that high level that they had done all that at that age. And it's almost like you went from this kid who you felt like you were immature in a lot of ways to suddenly jumping into not just the arm, like jumping into special forces.
Yeah.
And now you're like a hardened older dude.
Yeah, it's weird, the change up in mentality. Yeah, because you're around grown men. You're around like-minded, I guess you could say, men who are on the same page as you. Just a little bit more mature guys who have been around the block a few times, as opposed to me just coming off the block. It was you have to adapt if you want to fit in. You have to. But yeah, there's a certain level of like maturity. But then you take it a step further to like guys who are in Delta, and their level of maturity and just like their way of thinking is night and day compared to us, man. Those guys are absolutely fascinating. But I get what you're saying. It's weird to look back at who I used to be, and then getting into that line of work. It is weird, man. It is weird to see. Like, I don't know where I would be with, well, I do know, but if I didn't have that as a you know, my background in the military, it would suck, man. It would suck. We wouldn't be having this conversation. You know,
Yeah.
Be bad.
But you know, none of your friends that you grew up with, like you said, came in and did this.
No.
Right? You were totally alone going and do it as a kid. I think one of the best parts I ever hear about the military from anyone from all levels of the military is that the brotherhood and camaraderie you get from that is second to none. And afterwards, you can't replicate that in any way.
Oh, yeah. Like the guys that I grew up with, they were cool, or at the time. But compared to like the relationships I had overseas and the guys I had in the Ranger Battalion, dude, it's more than brothers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a real like brotherhood, a real family. That, dude, it's funny. I was talking to not too long ago. It was Mark Cunningham is his name. He was there on my first and second deployment in Iraq, and I hadn't talked to him since then. And he found me a couple of weeks or months ago on Twitter, and he just messaged me and gave him my phone number. We start talking, and my wife was there, and she's like, "It's crazy how you guys can just pick up right where you left off at, like nothing happened, nothing changed." I'm like, damn, I never thought of it like that. But it's that bond is just hard to break. You know, you've been through something like that, you know, with you know, one of your brothers in combat, brothers in arms, and yeah, you can't like never make that go away. That's always going to be there.
And
that
no one else
relationship.
understands that.
Yeah, exactly. She won't understand it. She's been there for like all the deployments. Other people from the outside won't understand it, but you can't have that same relationship. At least I don't think you can. If you know, you worked at Walmart with someone and you 10 years later, 20 years later, you're like, oh man, remember that time we were stacking boxes? You know? I'm like, no.
No, the fuck I don't.
Yeah, it's different bond, different relationship,
Yeah.
man. Yeah. But it's good though.
And what was the deployment where your wife was going back and forth between actually marrying you? Was that like one of the first Iraq ones?
Yeah.
So you guys get married though at the point we're at. You guys have been married. How difficult was it in the early years there while you're active to be constantly going on deployments and
wow.
and also having a relationship like that at wife?
That sucked, man. Like, I never cried before a deployment, after a deployment like that. But for some odd reason, after we got married and living with someone for like, at that point, it was like 6 months. We had lived together in this apartment. You kind of like build a bond, I guess. And like I cried like a baby before that deployment. And I remember going into the compound, our little area before we start packing our bags onto the plane. And the guys are like, dude, what's wrong with you, man? I was like, oh, nothing. I was just smoking some weed. My eyes were bloodshot red.
It was so good, I'm crying.
Yeah, I was crying like a baby in the car. And I did that for every deployment, man. I just cried like a baby. Like, I didn't want to leave. It always felt like, damn, this could be my last time ever seeing her again. And like, then what is she gonna do if she how are they gonna tell her? You know, are they gonna come knock on the door? Are they gonna call her? Or that stuff would always play with me. But by the time I was on the plane, popped an Ambien, like I was good to go. I would call her from Germany and call her in the first few hours, I guess, after I got in the country, and kind of just felt a little bit better. And I would just start counting down the days. I know it's between 90 and 120 days. I would just start marking them down. Like, damn, can't wait for this to be over.
Is there ever like a block in your head where, not that you consciously say this to yourself, but looking back on it, where you're subconsciously like, oh, it won't be me?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Especially like going over, you look around, looking, and just like, man, I don't think it's going to be us. I know for damn sure it's not going to be me. But you just never know. You just never know.
Yeah.
And it's a weird feeling. Yeah. I just didn't feel, it's weird how we make our own, like our life is like one big never ending play, and we're like the director of it. We just don't have the script, but for some odd reason, it was just like, well, I know in this script, I'm not going to get whacked, but you don't know. I don't have the script. It was just right place, right time, a lot of that, and a lot of things I can't explain. Supernatural, if you want, things.
Supernatural?
Not supernatural, but depending on what you believe in. Religion, supernatural, something of a higher power definitely, had my back a few occasions.
So you do believe in a higher power?
Oh, 100%.
Did you believe in it before you got into the military?
Yeah, I grew up like always going to church with my parents, every Sunday. Then I was in the choir at one point. I'd never sang.
You got some pipes?
I have none at all.
You want to take them for a ride?
No. I like that one. I have none at all. Like, I didn't even sing in the choir. I would just hum or, rock side to side. I don't even like singing. My wife can sing really good, but no, I'm not a singer. I grew up in the church, and before every mission, like on the helicopter, before the helicopter landed, like I would say a quick prayer of like, watch after my guys, watch after my family, and watch after me. Let us just make it out this thing, in one piece. That was before every operation. And it worked, it worked minus one operation where, some guys got hit. One unfortunately died. Yeah. But it was, other than that, like, yeah, there were a lot of times where I didn't feel like I was going to make it out, or it's just weird how I made it out, or we made it out. It's a lot more than I can count of how did we just survive that, It's a lot of that. Yeah.
For sure.
Big time.
Makes you, I mean, when you get put into these situations in life, in your case, it's in the military and in war zone type situations. For other people, maybe other types of life and death situations. It makes you think more about like what's going on.
Yeah.
I've always been, you know, my whole thing is I'm not really a huge organized religion guy, but you know, something put me here,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So I'm here for a blink of time
Right.
in what the context of the world and the galaxy is, especially. And it's like, do good because you're going to have to answer for something.
Yep.
And maybe if you're doing that, when you do have a moment of need, whatever that source power is, God, if you will, something can be a little angel on your shoulder there. I'm a huge believer in that. And it sounds like that's.
Oh, yeah.
That seems to be what you're talking about.
Yeah, you sound like my mushroom trip.
When did you do mushrooms?
This was years ago.
I thought you were going to say like last week.
Oh, no. I don't think I'll ever do them again.
No?
No, I took way too much. My first time, I didn't know what I had no idea. I thought I was going to see like pink elephants and I was just going to laugh and be like, oh, this is funny. Nope. No one told me that, no, like you go to a different dimension.
Yeah.
And I watched Mike Tyson eat mushrooms on
that's a bad
the line. It was. I was watching Mike Tyson on like the what are the Logan Paul, whatever the brothers were. Oh, no. And he took a handful of them. And I was like, well, I could probably do that. So I got some and I took the whole bag. And I remember telling my wife, first, I was like, I was like, man, something's going on with reality. Like it was shimmering. And then I told her, oh, shit, I can feel the light. I had a lamp next to me. And I was like, I can feel the light. And then the light came out. And I remember telling her, I said, bow your head, bow your head. I said, I think God's coming. And then out of the light, I saw a scroll. And the scroll said the law, follow the law. And it was just like the 10 Commandments and stuff. And like I zapped in and out of reality multiple times. And like met with a higher power that I perceived as God. And like we had some conversations about my life.
What was that like?
Terrifying, dude. Like I haven't been that scared ever in my life to this day of that conversation. Yeah.
But what's the conversation like?
Along the lines of what you just said, do good and judge others how you would like to be judged when your time comes. A lot of that. So be careful how you judge people, grudges you hold against people. Like I had a bad relationship with my parents for a little bit after the fact. And it's like, well, all right, your time's coming up here soon too. I'm going to judge you the same way. And I'm like, oh no. So then I got sent to the dark place, what I perceived to be hell. And that was terrifying. Yeah. Went to both realms, dude.
Oh, they gave you the preview.
Yep. You want to go here? You want to go here?
You got the Ebenezer Scrooge shit.
Yep. And I felt like stripping naked and like running to Georgia where my parents live at just to apologize.
Whoa.
Yeah. But then I was like, I can't because this place is one big play. And reality was weird.
What'd hell look like?
Dark. Void.
You see like Lil Nas X down there?
No, I didn't see anybody, but I heard snakes or slithers. It was completely pitch dark and it was void of all emotion, void of love, of anything. And you were like, it was just my spirit was down there, void of.
So you're conscious that you don't feel anything in all the wrong ways.
Just a pit in all directions. And there was nothing, no emotion whatsoever. Just emptiness, like what it felt to be, have no ego, no nothing, just empty void of who I thought I was, just a naked soul. Yeah.
So even though you don't want to do it again because it was a bit of a catatonic experience,
Yeah,
it sounds
terrifying.
like you got something.
Got a lot. Oh yeah. It changed my life, man, after that, like for the better, big time.
I love that like the 5'7", 155 guy sees Mike fucking Tyson be like, yeah, I'm going to take like a whole bit of the thing and I'm just going to fuck this up and you can do it too.
I did. I did.
Take the whole...
I'll never do it again. I was pissed at Mike for that, man. I was like, no, I thought like, how does his reality look to him to be able to function? I guess he's functioning. I don't know if he's really like here consciously, but
I'm functioning all
yeah,
right.
yeah. I'm like, dude, that's the TBI kicking in.
I love Mike Tyson. I'm not gonna lie, because
yeah.
I do feel like, you know, you can joke about the guys that obviously, like, that dude's been through
A lot.
of fists and a lot of life.
Yeah.
But like, you know, it's cool to see how in tune with himself he is now.
Yeah,
Like that
yeah.
was Mike fucking Tyson.
Right,
Like he was
right.
he was a legalized murderer,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And now, you know, he's more mellow. I mean,
Yep.
apparently he's gonna go fight Jake Paul, but
Yeah.
you get the point. Like he
Allegedly. Yeah.
right? Like he has he's got like such a beautiful soul.
Yeah.
That's great to
Yeah.
see.
Mushrooms did that, man. Have you ever taken mushrooms?
I've done ayahuasca.
Oh, so you're good. Yeah. Okay.
Why do you say I'm good?
Because I've heard that stuff is like the shit, man. Better than mushrooms when it comes to leaving this reality, I guess.
It's great. I can't speak to mushrooms because I haven't done them,
Mm-hmm.
but ayahuasca was a beautiful experience. The way I describe it
Mm-hmm.
is it was just an unbelievably intense meditation where you get the most present you've ever gotten.
Mm-hmm.
And I also wonder, because like a lot of people like don't like the taste of ayahuasca and they end up throwing
Oh,
up
that's
as
the one
well.
you drink, not DMT. I'm thinking, okay,
Right.
yeah, you drink
Yeah,
this one.
But like I liked the ayahuasca. Like I
Really?
thought it tasted great. And I think maybe that also played a role in me just being so calm the whole time.
Yeah.
But it was a profound experience. Not like nothing happened like what you speak of right there. Like
Yeah.
I really, any quote unquote hallucinations that happened,
Mm-hmm.
I was still right here.
Really?
I knew that they weren't happening.
That's
like
crazy.
they weren't there. I wasn't turning to the lamp and being like, oh, not that there was a lamp, but
Yeah.
there wasn't anything like that. It was almost like I was watching a movie and the movie was invisible. I could see right through it. And it was just very, very calming. And it the big thing it did is it took like all these micro problems that I built up in my life, right?
Yeah.
And it just was like, well, like there's really only like 3 or 4 that matter.
Yeah,
just
you go.
focus on those.
Yeah.
And that has been, look, I still run into micros. It's not like,
Yeah.
whoom, you're
Who doesn't?
fixed when
Yep,
you come
yep.
back. But like since then, I mean, I'm sure Alessa would even tell you there's certain things that I probably would have like been like, no, we gotta do this, we gotta do that. And now I'm like, all right, whatever. It's fine,
Yeah.
it'll work itself out.
Yeah.
There's other stuff I'm still picky on, but the balance is way better than it used to be.
All
for
about
sure.
balance, yeah. I wouldn't mind ayahuasca, but I don't know.
You gotta go do it at the right place though, because like I mean,
Mexico?
no, I was down in the middle of the Amazon jungle.
Oh.
My buddy Paul Rosalie, who's been on the podcast a bunch, he's lived there for the last 19 years.
What?
Yeah, he's a savage.
Damn.
Would love to connect you with him. He's cool as shit.
Amazon jungle. Like
Yeah.
the legit jungle. Oh
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah, he lives on a wood floor 200 meters back into the jungle with no running water.
What?
So like, you know how like we
Sick.
would put a fucking sock on the door
Yeah,
when
yeah.
you got a girl in there? He
Yeah.
has to put a fucking industrial towel across.
Jeez.
Yeah, like he lives. He's
For 19
about it.
years. Why?
Yeah, because he's always been such a nature guy that he went down there. He didn't fuck with school. He was like you. He was smart, but just didn't like school. Probably did a lot worse in school than you did, to be honest. And, you know, was like, fuck it. He'd always been in nature and loved animals. Fucking guy's a Sicilian from Brooklyn, but, you know, whatever. And he went down there when he was 18. And, you know, he spends probably 3 months of the year in America. And then he spends probably another 1 to 2 months traveling to other big nature places in the world. But 7-8 months of the year, he's there, and they've built this whole thing where they now own 80,000 acres of the Peruvian Amazon that they protect from the loggers and the gold miners and everything, and it's fucking amazing. For a long time, it was thankless work that he did, and now, you know, he's been able to get on Lex Friedman and Joe Rogan, and now like he's
I
known.
think I've seen him
Yeah.
on Lex Friedman, and they did the interview in the jungle.
Yeah, Lex was there.
saw that.
He left like an hour before I got there. That
Really?
was right before I was there. Yeah.
That's sick, man.
Yeah, he was. That was. I owe a lot to Paul because I'm sitting in this room partially because of him. He had never done a podcast before he went on mine, and that episode really I mean, it was a win-win for both of us because it got him to the big boys like that
Yeah.
who can really make a huge difference for him. But it definitely helped put me
deal.
on the map, which was cool. But yeah, when we were down there, he knows, like, his partners, they're all native Peruvians who grew up in the jungle. He's the
Okay.
only American.
Huh.
Right? And so one of them, his partner JJ, multiple of those brothers, the Durans, are involved with the company. JJ's like the godfather of it. And there's like 20 brothers. It was 2 wives, but 20
Damn.
brothers. And one of them is like maybe like the most legendary shaman that's like left down
Really?
there.
Yeah.
And so we really got
hooked up.
Yeah. But
Badass,
like
man.
even what Paul will tell you is like, even in South America though, you go to like somewhere and you think like, oh, I'm getting a real shaman, and no, the fuck you're not. You know, it's like ayahuasca's apparently a real tough one to get it right.
Yeah,
You know, with the right guy who actually knows what the fuck he's doing.
Mhm.
So we got really lucky. It was cool.
Good deal, man.
Yeah.
We'll see. Like I said, the mushrooms kind of.
That did it for you.
Yeah, I learned enough.
All right. Well, let's go. Let's take a break real quick. We'll get some food for you, and we're gonna come back. I don't know. Maybe it'll be like a second episode here, just looking at the time. But we're gonna come back. We're gonna talk all about what went down in Afghanistan and then some other things as well.
All good, man.
All right. Everybody else, you know what it is. Give it a thought. Get back to me. Peace. Thank you guys for watching the episode. Before you leave, please be sure to hit that subscribe button and smash that like button on the video. It's a huge help. And also, if you're over on Instagram, be sure to follow the show at Julian Dorey Podcast, or also on my personal page at Julian D. Dorey. Both links are in the description below. Finally, if you'd like to catch up on our latest episodes, use the Julian Dorey Podcast playlist link in the description below. Thank you.